Alright, in this part of the series of reconditioning this 2001 Chrysler Sebring, I'm going to be replacing the valve cover gasket, and I'm going to show you why. It's extremely dirty, obviously it's leaking, so we're going to go ahead and address that. This is a 2.4 liter dual overhead cam Chrysler Sebring. It's actually a Mitsubishi engine, but I'm going to go ahead and show you how to do that right now. So as you can see, there's a leak somewhere on the valve cover gasket, and it just seeps up wherever the dirt accumulates, and down in here you can see it's pretty oil soaked. So I'll be pulling the coil off, I'll be taking the valve cover bolts out. They appear to be probably an 8mm, so sit back, relax, and watch me do the work. So I think we've got a leak. With the valve cover removed, we can take a look here and see where exactly it was leaking. And it looks like maybe right there, right here in this corner. And as we come back here, it looks like possibly back here. Could have been from where we took the valve cover off, but I'm going to assume that that right there is a spot. It was definitely leaking into this cylinder, or the spark plug well here. So anyway, we're going to go ahead and clean up this edge here, and we're going to clean the valve cover itself. So being that the valve cover gasket is silicone, there's not really anything to scrape off, so I'm going to go ahead and clean it with a rag. I'll also have a straight edge razor that I can clean up anything that might be left over. Alright, it's not perfect, but I'm going to show you after I cleaned up the edges. and I will go ahead and install the new valve cover gasket. From the packaging, this does not look like the correct set. Mitsubishi 2.4. Alright. And yes, this is a Chrysler, however, it does have a Mitsubishi engine in it. So yeah, that's not right. Oh, I bet this is a single overhead cam, not the dual. Alright, well, guess we're going to call this a night. Dang it. Alright, so I returned the valve cover gasket that I had, and apparently it was for the single overhead cam 2.4, and this is the dual overhead cam 2.4. And I believe there were 4 engine options for this car. 2 V6 options and 2 4-cylinder options. Both 4-cylinder options were 2.4. One was a dual overhead cam, and one was a single overhead cam. So now that I have the correct valve cover gasket, I'm going to go ahead and get it on and in place. Put the valve cover back in place. Looks like this fits fairly well. I will have a link in the description for this valve cover gasket. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and look up the torque specs for the valve cover bolts and go ahead and get this in place. Alright, looks like we're good to go. I've already cleaned the edges, all the mating surfaces for the gasket. So I'm going to go ahead and place the valve cover in place, start putting the bolts in. The torque spec, just in case you want it, is 105 inch-pounds, and I don't have a torque wrench small enough to do that, so I'm going to do it by feel. Alright, so we've got all of the bolts back in place, and now it's time to put the coil back in. So I'm not sure where the battery died, where I was, but coil's back in place. I've got these hoses hooked back up, the vacuum hoses, and this is where I'm going to stop this video, because in the next video I'm going to be doing the spark plugs, and I think I'll go ahead and do the air filter as well. That way they're both some pretty quick and pretty straightforward tasks, so I can wrap those all up into one video. Thanks for watching. Hopefully this was helpful for you, and if there's anything else you'd like to know about the car, any questions you have, just feel free to put them in the comments below.